The executive branch is one of the three parts of the U.S. government. While the legislative branch is made up of Congress and the Senate, and the judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court, the executive branch is primarily the president and his cabinet. When the president is elected, he appoints secretaries to oversee the 15 different departments, all of which control different facets of our day-to-day life. His cabinet also makes up himself and their vice president. The President of the United States is the head of the U.S. government and the commander-in-chief. He is the nation's chief diplomat, shapes public policy, and is in charge of enforcing and enacting laws made by the Congress. His job overall is to represent each and every U.S. citizen. Some accomplishments under the current President, Donald Trump, includes 220 Article 3 judges, which Article 3 referring to the judges of the Supreme Court, U.S. Court of Appeals, District Courts, and Court of International Trade. 3 of the Supreme Court justices, which is more than any other president. 53 appointees to the Court of Appeals, which for reference the median is 35, with Obama and Bill Clinton each having 30 during their terms. 162 district court judges were appointed under his time, and as well as having the highest black employment rates of any current president. After the president, his next in line is the vice president, and should the president die or be unable to do his job, he is the next in succession. This job varies between vice presidents, as each president is different, and overall the vice president's job is to assist the president. He is also considered the president of the Senate and would cast the deciding vote should there be a tie. Our current vice president is Mike Pence, and some accomplishments he's done include lead the rebuilding of the U.S. space program, primarily being the reason that the Space Force was created, said to have mitigated many impulsive decisions of our president, and was said to have been an invaluable asset to the list of other accomplishments done by the 45th president. The Secretary of State and by extension the Department of State are in charge of handling the U.S.'s foreign policy. This includes stopping and preventing the spread of diseases from other countries, humanitarian crises across the world, drug trafficking, foreign military training, investigating international crime, and it overlaps with immigration and border control, specifically with the countries themselves. Our current Secretary of State is Mike Pompeo, and some of his accomplishments include playing a key role in the U.S. withdrawal of the Iran nuclear deal, established relations with North Korea that set the groundwork for Kim Jong-un and President Trump's summit, and as well as having a joint conference between North and South Korea with the goal of denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The Secretary of Treasury is in charge of maintaining a strong economy. This also includes creating economic growth and making job opportunities. Their job is also to combat economic threats while managing the U.S. government's finances. The current Secretary of Treasury is Stephen T. Mnuchin, and an accomplishment he's played is that he is the creation of Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, or TCJA, which is said to have resulted in more jobs, low tax rates, and an overall stronger economy. The Secretary of Defense and the Department of Defense encompass the military as a whole. Along with the different branches of military, it is also in charge of the NSA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and the National Guard. Their job is to protect U.S. citizens from threats both domestic and abroad. Some accomplishments of the current acting Secretary of Defense Christopher C. Miller include being responsible for overseeing the employment of special operations regarding counterterrorism, military information support operations, information operations, and serving as the Senior Director for Counterterrorism and Transnational Threats at the National Security Council. He was made Acting Secretary of Defense on November 9, 2020. The Attorney General is considered the Chief Lawyer of the United States as well as the President's primary legal advisor. They are the leader of the Department of Justice, and their goal or job is to represent the United States when it comes to legal matters. This also includes supervising and directing the administration and operation of offices, boards, divisions, and bureaus that comprise of this department. Along with that, they are also in charge of appointments for federal judicial positions, and as well as being in charge of the U.S. Marshals. The current Attorney General is William Barr. The Secretary of Interior and the Department of Interior are in charge of America's natural resources and the conservation of the land. This includes national parks, and endangered species also fall into their jurisdiction. Their job is also to address the issues that Native Americans and Inuit people have and foster good relations with them. The current Secretary of Interior is David Bernhardt. The Department of Agriculture oversees policies related to farming, food, and the trade that revolves around them. The USDA has over 100,000 employees and are in charge of organizations such as the Food and Nutrition Service. The department itself also plays a role in providing aid to foreign countries with said food. Next, we have the Department of Labor, which revolves around workers and their job conditions. And some of the things they do include minimum wage rates, protecting retirement and health care for workers. They also compile economic stats. The current Secretary of Labor is Eugene Scalia. Next, we have the Department of Commerce as well as the Secretary of Commerce, which is dedicated to improving the quality of life for Americans. They can do this via economic and technological innovations. Other things this department does is collect economic data, approve trademarks and patents. They also manage technology and telecommunication policy along with enforcing international trade. The Secretary of Commerce is Wilbur Ross. The Department of Housing and Development manages the development of housing across America, as the name would imply. Their goal is to create equal opportunities and develop fair housing laws. They also are in charge of providing public housing and options for the homeless. A lot of that is targeted specifically towards cities, and the current secretary of the department is Ben Carson. The Department of Transportation, shockingly enough, manages the roads and, in a larger sense, transport of our country. This ranges from traffic safety to railroads, planes, and even boat travel. The current Secretary of Transportation is Elaine Chou. Next, the Secretary of Energy and the Department of Energy are in charge of electricity and energy across the country as well. They are also put effort into development for clean energy alternatives. Lastly, nuclear power plants and safety fall under their jurisdiction. The current Secretary of Energy is Dan Boulay. Next is the Department of Education, which is in charge of the education system. This extends to managing financial aid for colleges, to working with states on an individual basis to help their schools. Like the other secretaries, the Secretary of Education is the principal advisor for the presidents regarding their specific field. And the current Secretary of Education, unfortunately, is Betsy DeVos. In a more niche role, we have the Department of Veteran Affairs. And what they do is, as the name implies, they provide benefits to veterans. These include, but are not limited to, pensions, education, disability compensation, home loans, life insurance, vocational rehab, medical care, and burial benefits. The current Secretary of Veteran Affairs is Robert Wilkie. The Department of Homeland Security is the newest department to join the President's Cabinet. Being created in 2002 under the Homeland Security Act, their job is to prevent terrorism and, in a larger sense, protect American citizens. Organizations that also fall under their rule include U.S. Customs, the Coast Guard, and Secret Service. An interesting note is that, unlike the other departments, the Department of Homeland Security is managed by a council at the White House rather than having their own building. The Secretary of Homeland Security is Chad Wolf.